This is Hidden Killers Live with Tony Brueski, Stacey Cole, and Todd Michaels.
It is the aftermath week now for Donna Adelson. She's now had a full weekend to let the reality sink in that, guess what? You've been found guilty. All of your, those reactions. You remember the Donna Adelson, it was a visible cry, a visible scream, a visible moment of disgust in the courtroom last week when Donna found out her fate, that she would, basically be spending the rest of her life behind bars. I don't know if it was the reaction to that fact or the fact that people saw through her BS and eventually was called out to it on such a public forum. We're going to break down everything that happened last week, what the future may hold for Donna, Harvey, and Wendy. Yes, everybody's a favorite American family. We're going to get into all that and much more today. Also going to be talking about the latest in the Kohberger investigation. What we're finding about that investigation as more tea leaves are dropped open to the public. And we're also going to be talking about the Long Island serial killer. We're going to go through that story and where the evidence has taken us now, that the DNA evidence has been admitted. That was a crucial piece to that case, where if that was not going to be admitted, it might be a little bit harder to point the blame onto Rex Heuermann, but that is now in. Anyway, that is all coming up. Our first hour here, Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent, chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, joining us along with Stacey and Todd. Let's start here, Robin, as we go to the Adelsons and the big verdict that we had just the other day. What was your reaction to Donna's moment of shock in the courtroom?
We keep looking at these moments of shock from her, and we're not shocked by them now that we see them. I finally understood when I watched it again why she rubs me so poorly, and I don't like hers, because I've had people like this in my life that she's putting on such a psychological manipulation show. She's got a lifetime of reps of using that look to manipulate people. Her own family, again, pure conjecture, they don't feel, it's hard to imagine people feeling sympathy for her when she puts on that show, because it is so evidently a show. And I know people are saying, are there tears, not tears there? So what really got me, Tony and Stacey, when I saw her immediate reaction to this was, where did she go in that moment of distress? So think about this. This is where we put on our deep empathy hats, and it's like, all right, I am in this situation. I'm in this spot. I've had situations in my life when I felt such trauma hit me, and we have this emotional response and we collapse. We literally collapse into ourselves. We come down like this because we're contemplating and thinking, what just happened to my life? And so we go inside our own heads. And so what we saw from her, though, is she had that response and she's outward. You can actually catch her eyes looking around. What people's reactions are to her. It's completely incongruent. That's why she creeps people out. The other thing that struck me too is how fast the jury came back with the verdict. And I think it's because they didn't like her either. They just get rid of her, man. I don't want to see this look anymore. I think she thought this look garners sympathy from her family and friends. No, I think this look she has that gets people to do what she wants is because they want her to stop making it a horrible look. She just looks it's a horrible, ugly look that she has every time she has trauma response.
It's all to avoid the look. But in a way, Robin, you're exactly right. And that's the thing. This is someone who has ruled by fear throughout her entire life to her entire family. And the older son, Rob, really pointed it out well the other day in court when he was asked, so when things went, and I'm just paraphrasing, when things went well for Donna and what she was doing, she was getting her way. How was she? Well, she was basically said, she was pleasant, and she was kind of fun, and she was good to be around. Very typical for people like this. They're often very loved, very liked by their community, by those around them. Those that aren't too tightly close, so they're going to be affected by them on a deeper level. But then Rob also said, well, what happens when Donna doesn't get her way?
We saw that.
That was a very different story. She's not very happy. She's not easy to get along with. That's the look. It's the look, but it goes so far beyond the look. The look is like that's her initial, I'm going to try and correct this right now. And if they go beyond the look, if the look still doesn't get it, then she digs. Then she starts getting vicious. And then she just keeps going. And she's someone who just doesn't know when to stop. I don't think she's capable of stopping. She's determined. She's very, very determined. Overachiever, maybe you could say, in some areas, where she just keeps going. She does not respect the opinion. She does not respect the outcome or the consequences to her actions in any way, shape, or form, and has zero interest in any sort of reflection back on herself as to what those actions caused and their effect.
Relentless stupidity. That's what she has.
Yeah.
It's because she keeps doubling down in an echo chamber of her own voice.
Mm-hmm.
And she's bullied her family into going along with it or suffer the consequences of her relentless stupidity. I mean, when you just look at the stats and averages of probability of success of hits like this, I looked up the number. It's 0 to 40% of unprofessional hits get away with it.
Those are some bad odds, Robin.
Those are horrible odds. And but this is a great idea. Again, she doubles down on stupid. She's relentlessly stupid.
I gotta say, a 40% chance odd for something that you have zero experience in. That's
on the high end.
On the high end, yes, but I'm still surprised it goes that high. Like, I would think if somebody said, okay, we're going to put you out there in a home run derby with some of the best MLB players in the country. What's your odds of hitting a home run? I'm going to guess like between 0.1 and 0.5, not 40. Like, that's a pretty high odd almost for a completely inexperienced person, isn't it?
It's just ridiculous. And the other thing too that compounds the relentlessly stupid is the number of people that were involved, because that decreases your odds down to zero even more. Again, remember, it's 40% of people, and it's very rare that people do this to begin with. 40% get away with it that actually might have 3 marbles rolling around, not half of one like Donna. Yeah. The other thing that she totally undermined herself and the whole family did, especially her, was that she has her emotional regulation, as we see, is horrendous, which means that her mouth won't stop running because it's running in a safe, as she thinks everything around her is a safe place. And which, well, I know we're going to get to Wendy, which makes it hard to imagine anyone in her circle doesn't know exactly what she's thinking, even if she's talking in her stupid double down code. So, I mean, just it's like the most ludicrous thing you could possibly come up with.
Well, what strikes me about this thing is you have Donna, who's a complete narcissist. There's probably other personality disorders going on here, but you also then have the children who were playing a part. At least we know that Charlie was, who are also very narcissistic, but they're also really insecure. They constantly need reassurance that what they're doing is right. They're constantly going back to mom. That's why there's all these conversations. That's why you have Charlie in the jail, constantly needing, without mom even directly saying anything, that he's in the right, that he's pleasing mom. They're constantly seeking the reassurance from Donna. And that's what kind of makes the difference in the dynamics of these people. You got Donna, who I don't know constantly needs the reassurance. She seems to, she likes it, but she just feeds off the energy of her minions and what they're going to do for her. But when they're gone and they're not able to reassure, everything's going to work out fine, Donna, she collapses. And that's what I think we're seeing here in real time, is this narcissistic collapse that's been going on. It hasn't been a slow one either. This has been, I think, some time coming, but there doesn't appear to be an end. There does not appear to be an end where either Donna has, bowed out, or she reaches some sort of acceptance as to the reality that she's in.
Well, she loses it when she loses control. Everything comes down to control. And I think her children, the way that they've responded to the world with this insecurity, well, what makes someone insecure? What makes someone insecure is when they've been demeaned, bullied, or treated poorly by others when they're at a younger age in those formative years. And so I imagine, pure conjecture, that one way that Donna exercised control over her children was to trauma bond them. Basically, it's like, hey, you suck, you suck, you suck. Oh, and I'll give you a little bit of praise. So why would someone seek praise from mom unless it was so sparingly given out? And so this makes a pattern behavior. So that's also the pattern that they've learned in their lives of how we treat others. And so that's how these things get propagated generationally. Again, pure conjectures. I'm not a licensed psychotherapist. But that's typically what happens, why people behave in this manner, is because they learned it from someone else. Who else would they have learned it from, especially in such a cloistered family that's so controlled by Donna? And so, yeah, what we keep seeing with her is a loss of control everywhere. And how did she maintain control in her own life? He starts out with these emotional outbursts. And so as you've said, as her control's weaning away, it'll be really interesting. I don't think she's going to accept, I mean, can you see her accepting it? She hasn't accepted it yet, anything. That lack of control. I think she's going to get to prison, and in prison right now, and she's going to start learning how to control a new environment, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah. I think she is going to take a few days to be depressed, cry a bit, and then she's going to start looking around and finding the ones in that population that can be manipulated. She's going to pick them out in a heartbeat. She knows exactly who they are. She will. I know these people. They can scan a room and figure out who they can go after. Yeah, it's really frightening.
She'll become the grandmother figure in jail, most likely.
But what about this? I mean, she's in a population of people that are pretty good at manipulating people.
That's a good point.
They're there. I mean, she's amongst her own. I mean, with her kids, with her family, she was not amongst her own. She was truly amongst people who she could manipulate and had many, many ways of doing so. They already figured out how to manipulate her. I mean, she thought in round one that she was manipulating everybody. That's how you ended up having the jailhouse snitch saying, oh yeah, she was going to give me a grand piano. She was going to give me $10,000. She was going to give me hair extensions and this and that and the other thing. And they knew that she wasn't going to do it, but they used her for what they got. And she got like a box of gas station snacks, basically, at the end of the day. Not a grand piano, not $10,000. Donna kept stringing her along and giving her just enough treats to keep her going. And then Donna disappeared. And then nothing ever happened because Donna strung that person along thinking, oh, I can just use this person too. Use them, chew them up, spit them out. I convinced her that she's going to testify for me. Well, when that's not going to happen, guess what? It doesn't matter. And she thinks that no one is going to turn on her. I think that's been one of Donna's biggest failures and obviously narcissists are not great at seeing their reflection from the rest of the world back to them, but she failed to see that anyone would ever turn on her through this whole damn thing. She thought whatever she did, whatever she said was going to be impeachable.
Yeah, she thought she's a lot more likable than she actually was. Yeah, and it'd be interesting in the jail scenario, you know, when you look at it's going to really come down to the population that she's in, because on the female side of prison, there tends to be more white collar type crimes, you know, and to Stacey's point, a lot of these people in there are skilled, but at the same time, if you're dealing with low recidivism, you know, white collar crime, I really don't. It'll be interesting. If it's a different than the male population than Charlie's in, no doubt. So, but again, I don't know where she's going to be, and I don't know the situation. The problem is you want her to feel suffering, and I don't know how. You know, in other words, she's not getting Kobergered.
Right.
I don't know that Koberger's feeling suffer. Well, I mean, he is. He's writing. He is. You're right. You're right. He is.
Don't burst my bubble. He's having a horrible time.
He is having a horrible time. I was just going to say, is he capable of? And he is I think in different ways than how we would feel it. And I think Donna's uncomfortable. Is Donna will feel suffering, but is it for the right reasons? Is it because she's uncomfortable in her current setting, or is it because she feels bad about what she did, that she participated in the murder? I don't think there's any guilt with her in that realm whatsoever.
I don't think so. I don't think she feels guilt at all. If she had, so when you do a murder for hire, there's always time to back out. So if she had felt guilt at all, she would have backed out at some point along the way. So no, I don't think there's any remorse or guilt because she hated that guy. You know, and so when you're so full of rage and hate, and you're living in an echo chamber where everyone else is agreeing with you, why would you have guilt or remorse? You know, her only remorse is that she can't, you know, be there controlling her family, and in her mind, be there for her family, be there for her grandkids. Because the first actions that they all took after the murder was that, you know, they ostracized the grandparents from them as well. I mean, this is all about control, 100% control.
I think that's what really made me hate Donna more than I already do. Was seeing the victim impact statements that we did the other day of the Markel children. Or the Markel grandparents, because it's been 11 years since this stuff went down, and they've seen their grandkids 3 times. So they've missed their entire childhoods. You would think that in a situation like this, where it's literally mom's family that's been charged and has gone to prison for murdering dad, that the system wouldn't necessarily be like, mom's the best choice.
Right?
Like, I this feels like a system failure to me as well. I mean, granted, Wendy has never been charged with anything. Maybe that's where they should have dug a little deeper into mom early on, because now
let's look at the stats. You know, you can't see my research there. You know, the stats are saying, you know, the probability of it being her, because this is what, you know, I'm not a profiler, you know, I'm a behaviorist inside the FBI, but what the first thing profilers do is we look at the research, we look at the stats so we can start filtering out possibilities and bring to the forefront probabilities. Yeah. And, you know, when it comes to murder for hires, you know, they're what number did I give you, Tony? It's like 66%. It's spouse that initiates. And so if you are the Child Protective Services and we have a murder for hire, you know, underway here, you know, the last thing, they are literally put a 66% chance that they're giving the children over to the mother that might have committed the murder or been involved.
I feel like the system really goes against men in this regard. And I'm speaking, I don't have kids. Yeah. But I know in my own childhood, my parents were divorced and my dad was just this horrific creature. Thankfully, the system leaned toward the kids need to be with the mom. But I've seen wonderful, wonderful fathers who have just been slighted by the system. And the kids go to the mom, no matter how terrible she is, because God forbid they go with the dad. There is a stigma that really needs to be removed in this country about all of this, because I would swear to God, I mean, look, there's plenty of shitty dads out there without a doubt, but my God, this idea that mom is just the best, there is more manipulation, there is more narcissism, there's more there's more personalities. I don't have the stats in front of me, but my God, there's to just carte blanche go, well, you're the mother, you must be wonderful, right? Without like ever looking into this monster is insane. There are so many monstrous mothers out there that are doing unspeakable damage to their children, and the only reason they have the power is because they're female, and it's insane. I've seen it so many times. Yeah. And the system is stacked against men in that area, where men really do have to bring it if they're going to go and say anything or try and assert control for the goodness, for the betterment of those children. Otherwise, the system just pretty much defaults over there.
And I'm sitting here just with a big smile on my face because I'm thinking of our good friend Tony, who is the epitome of a great dad. Yep. You know, that shows that the stat is definitely on the favor of that. There are some great dads out there. My ex ran away. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there really wasn't a lot of battling, thank God. But there are dads who have to go through hell, who have to deal with somebody making up stories and shit about them and then battle that. And the system tends to still default on the mom's side. I mean, in no way am I saying like, look, men should just be trusted alone by any means. No. But I'm saying
The mom shouldn't be either. No one should be just trusted carte blanche. There should be, but again, this is asking the system to do far more than it already doesn't do.
Correct.
We already don't have enough people just checking on these kids when they're in foster care or when they're in the care of whichever parent that they may end up landing in. I mean, so if we're asking it to like, well, let's get in here and really get ahead of the game and figure this out beforehand, they're not remotely equipped to do such a thing. I mean, thinking you get ahead of that, you won't have the problems later, but that's two thoughts, and it's the U.S. government. So
that's a whole other podcast that we're not doing.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not getting political, but I mean, it's such a broken, damned system that it's easy for us to sit here on the corner and say, well, we should do this. Of course we should be great. But the thing is the public as a whole doesn't want to deal with it. It's an icky topic. It's a yucky topic. And we'd rather just sit there and pretend that everybody's going to do the best for the kids and things will work out. And if this isn't affecting our family directly, then it's just those other people's problems and they made poor decisions. So that's how they got there. That's not always how it works.
No,
I mean,
we've covered so many cases, Tony, where child protective services. I mean, how many times have you and I talked in the last 3 years about child protective services?
Oh my,
Oh, it's nauseating.
It's horrendous, and it's the saddest thing ever. I mean, God, I just keep thinking about Maddie Soto, and then that horrible monster Stephen Stearns that got away with that one, and then we look at Lori De Belvallo. I mean, all of this all came down to children that got victimized and were collateral damage, either intently or unintentionally by these, as the great comment in the chat is, by adults not adulting.
Yeah, I mean, has any, and I fucking hate that term, adulting. Too.
I know, oh my God, Robin, I'm like, he's gonna react.
Like,
look out, here
it is such a trigger. Like, look, once you're 18, you're a fucking adult. Grow the fuck up and become an adult. It's not adulting, just as much as I'm not going to go childing and like go play with blocks or something. You're a fucking adult. Grow the fuck up. It's not adulting day. You don't have the option anymore. It's not a choice.
Robin, the can is open.
I didn't do it. What is this? Assassin Class Y did. Oh, it's all right. We love you, though. Thank you.
My God! But I mean, it is just so frustrating, watching all of those dynamics play out in so many cases. When you have, and like going back to the Adelsons here, and all of this, and it does look like they're closing in on Wendy. Obviously, again, she's never been charged with anything. So this is all speculation, but maybe they should have looked at her sooner. Maybe they should have tried to dig at her deeper, because now you got her kids that are like mid-teens, and if mom goes away, I mean, that's going to be even more traumatizing. They're already dealing with the shit of their family and trying to figure out this stuff, and they're not little kids here where they can protect them anymore. Guaranteed, this is up for discussion, and God knows what's going on in that house, with Wendy and the kids, and what those conversations are. That's got to be horrific. And then now to be fearing that mom might be going away after all of this. And look, there's a lot of evidence that points that Wendy had some ideas here, that there was some knowledge. And I'm sorry, I don't buy anymore that she's a lovely human being and it's a complete victim of circumstance. And what really screws her over in my mind at the end of the day, long point coming, is the fact that she's not let those grandparents see the grandkids after all that time.
Yeah. So her not knowing, I thought hard about this after our last episode together, talking about her, because we heard the ex-boyfriend who's clearly still enamored with her, thinking that there's 1% chance they'll get back together. Maybe he can be a conjugal visit for her in jail. He
was back then. He was enamored. I mean, that tape was 14 years ago, 11 years ago. But yes.
But it was interesting because when you look at the arc, as I look at everything as arcs of individuals, organizations, and family structures, the amount of communication they seem to all have and the lack of impulse control or voice control, vocalization control they have amongst each other, it would be odd. It would be a spike for her not to have an awareness of what happened. And now whether they have evidence of that or something like that is, I was watching a lot of lawyers because, as you all know, I'm not a lawyer. I don't do prosecutions. I was an investigator and a behavior.
Oh my God, I thought you've been a lawyer for the last 3 years.
I guess some people love coming at me about on lawyer stuff. But dude, I just comment on the behavior.
I know.
Smart guys. Sometimes you don't have to be a lawyer to be a smart guy.
No, you don't. No.
But
I was watching, a lot of lawyers talking about this case and why they didn't go after her first. And again, because Donna, they picked up that she's going to flee the country to a non-extradition country like Vietnam, so they had to go her. Or the fact that, maybe Wendy, instead of having half a marble like Donna, maybe Wendy's got 2 marbles rolling around. And so being a lawyer herself in some way, she knows how to not talk in code with her brother in prison. So maybe she was a little bit more sleuth with her communications. Who knows? Or maybe like guilt, innocent proven guilty. Maybe she really is the only family member, with the exception of the brother, that ran like a smart guy years ago, that didn't know what was going on.
And being a go ahead, Stacey.
A quick question, Robin. How many marbles are we supposed to have?
At least 3.
Okay.
At least. Bar. One of them needs to be the one that you flick, the one that breaks the other ones up.
I like 3.
I'm just curious. I'm just doing a little self-assessment, so I just want to know how many I'm supposed to have versus how many I'm really
thinking 3, because when you hear the expression, always got 1 or 2 marbles rolling around upstairs. If you only hear people saying 1 or 2 marbles, and I guess 3 is the standard.
If you got 4 or 5, it's like you're doing pretty good.
We're at Weinstein level.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
My highly technical terms I like to use and throw around.
I love it.
So that's what got me on Wendy. And look, there's plenty of situations where grandma and grandpa should not be in the picture because they're going to be toxic, and it is up to the mom and dad to protect their kids from repeating the cycle of abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, whatever it may be. No matter how much mom and dad have changed, or grandma and grandpa have changed, or claim they've changed, although maybe they really haven't, and you know it, and you'd rather not subject your children to that. There's certainly points for that. I'm not saying a carte blanche grandparents should be able to see their grandchildren, because they feel like it. But I'm sorry, this is not a case where that's that. This is a case where it's insane. They had to literally get legislation passed to see their grandkids. Be after the family murdered dad. That is effed up. That is completely effed up. Adelsons, we'll of course keep following him. I know the other day, Georgia Kappelman, in a brief interview outside of the courtroom, I believe with Court TV, was asked about Wendy, and she said, "Stay tuned."
Yeah, I watched that.
Stay tuned, everyone.
And I'm seeing like 70%, 60 to 70% are saying they're going to go after the other side. They won't, because they would have done it already. So stay tuned. I think, hey, why not? Because someone said, if at this point they got a winning batting record, why not at least swing for it if they could?
And maybe they needed to really get these, and this will spell itself out in court easier, just as it did kind of with Donna. We needed these blocks in place to build this tower over here. Now this tower is built. Now we can build onto it and go after Wendy, because the Donna tower has been completed. We have the foundation now to go after Wendy. So
they showed the same arc. The lawyers are showing, the prosecutors saying that same arc of behavior about how they went to Charlie, how they went to Donna, and they're building the same way. So if we're following that arc of congruent behavior, it looks like they're gearing up to do that.
I would say this, one piece of advice to anybody, including Wendy, before you have to go testify, before you have to go make a public appearance in something like this where a lot of people are watching you, be sure to instruct your Botox person not to inject you in ways that make you look like a Disney villain. It didn't work out well. I was watching some of her testimony over the weekend, and I'm just like, and I compared her to how she looked in previous testimony. Right. And she Disney villains that shit up. And I wonder if she did that on purpose. The way her eyebrows were, like, they weren't moving. They were very stagnant. And a lot of her, it was just like, God, like, did she go in there and say, this is exactly how I want it? Or was there like some rogue Botox person there going,
I was going to say,
I'm going to fuck this bitch up.
It might have been somebody having an off day doing her treatments.
Or not even that, just knowing this is Wendy Adelson. Oh, hi, Wendy. Great to see you. Come here.
You know,
You're Corella now. Have fun at trial.
I haven't seen the stats on this, but I actually heard someone talking about this when it comes to people doing work on themselves like this.
Yeah.
I think the percentage of people that actually come out better, looking better than they otherwise would have, is so low.
Yep.
And like you are playing again. It's going back to those laws of averages. If you're looking to make yourself look better, the chance of you coming out looking worse is much higher than looking better. So hey, let's just ride.
The goal of anything like that is not to look like you've had it done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It needs to look natural, and nothing about her face at this point looks natural. Her expressions don't look like something you would see in nature.
No. And look, I'm not anti-Botox. I mean, do whatever you want, everybody. You know, whatever makes you feel good and whatever. That's up to everybody. I would just say you might want to pick somebody different next time. I know a lot of people who get Botox and you'd have no idea they were getting Botox.
And that's a sign of a very successful person doing it.
Yeah. Maybe it was a Groupon. Maybe she's struggling a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of money going to attorneys here. Maybe it was like, you know, we got to go to this one. It's a buy one, get one free. Buy one half of your face, get the other half off. And, you know, I don't know.
Well, you don't want to just pay for the one eyebrow, for God's sakes.
No, she
That's
paid
the
for
problem.
both. But like, I'm wondering again, too, like, did you double this up? Were you like, in case I get arrested, can I get double the Botox? So I'm in there long. It stays longer.
No,
Prison Botox. There's a new industry. They sneak it in.
Is remember, you know, who's your audience? That for anyone doing these things, I mean, there's a lot of that goes into courtroom appearance and courtroom demeanor, what you wear. I mean, the type of, I mean, for guys that have numbered, you know, whether you're wearing a 2-button or 3-button jacket. I mean, there's a lot of courtroom appearance, and so I would imagine, for her role that she's trying to play in that courtroom, that's not a look you'd be going for. If you're trying to garner sympathy from a jury, you want to have that loving, caring mom look, not this, you know, not trying to get the glam look on.
Do you think the Adelsons have any concept?
No, that's it doubles down on their self-centered narcissism, and the one aspect of control is they try to control perception that they have of others, you know, that others have of them, and so that's why people do it. Is they're trying to control the perception. And
when your prism is that broken, it's very hard to see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like Karen Reed, like Karen Reed, absolutely, 100%.
Yep, 1,000%.
But here's the thing: Wendy is a former attorney, correct?
Yeah.
You think she'd know? I mean, wouldn't she?
You're
know?
good at it. Well, no. Well, with so many folks like that, it's easy to look at other people and go, "Here's how you should do it." The self-reflection is the missing part.
This is why it's so important. People need a loving critic.
Yep, exactly.
That is the. Yep. I just did another podcast episode on my show today about, you know, all these exercises we can do for self-reflection are fantastic, and the path of mastery that we have for ourselves is really great. But if you're doing it in your own echo chamber, it just will fall short all the time. I mean, how many times do we see things posted on social media that you look at and say, why didn't you give this to someone else to read before you posted it?
Right.
Yeah.
Because people think they're smarter than everyone else, and they don't have the courage. It takes courage to give it to someone to look at who might say, dude, that looks like shit. Don't post that. You know, and so for her or anyone in these situations, if you don't have someone who's like the loving critic, and so for definition here, it's someone who cares deeply about you, but not the destination that you're choosing. In other words, they're there to give you that honest feedback without being personally assaulting you, just saying, hey, here's objectively what this is, and here's what I think is going to be a cause and effect from your action and behavior. And we can do it really effectively for someone else. Like I'm really high on this because I love being that loving critic for the people I care about in my life. At the same time, though, for myself, I'm probably 60% accurate, even as objective as I and pragmatic as I try to be and tend to be. I know when I get emotionally hijacked, in other words, or emotionally tied to the outcome that we seek, we are horrible at doing this for ourselves. That's why I post anything, I do anything, it's got to go through loving critics like Tony and Stacey, and definitely my wife. I mean, my kids, everyone weighs in. Then I make my assessment. It's like, all right, we'll do this. But she lacked it totally.
Yep.
That's a great point.
That's 1000% true, and a great way to live. Because no matter what, we're not good at it. We're just not. We are not good at that as human beings. No matter who you are, some far worse than others.
Well, you need that person that walks beside you instead of in front of you or behind you. You need that person who's just going to guide you right next to you. I'm in this for you. I am part of your team. You know?
Yeah. No. Completely.
So, these people don't have anyone on their team. You can see it.
They run everyone off of their team eventually as well.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.